So you're a creator in Nepal. You pour your heart and soul into making something new, something original. But then what? How do you know it's protected? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're decoding Nepal's Copyright Act. Think of this law as the invisible shield for every artist, writer, and innovator in the country. And we're about to break down exactly how it all works.
I mean, think about it. Have you ever written a song, snapped that perfect photo, or maybe coded a clever piece of software? You know that amazing feeling of creating something that's uniquely yours? But right after that feeling comes the big question, right? Is this really mine? Is it safe? Well, the answer is yes, and it's all laid out in the law. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics. What even is copyright? The easiest way to think about it is like this. It's the official legal deed to your creative property. It's the law itself stepping in and saying, hey, you made this, so you get to own it and control it.
At the very heart of this whole thing is one simple but powerful idea: a work. The law is super clear on this. A work is any original and intellectual creation. And those two words, they're everything. It means it has to come from you, and it has to be a product of your brainpower, not just a copy-paste job.
So, what kind of stuff are we talking about here? What actually counts? Well, according to Section 2 of the Act, the net is cast incredibly wide. We're talking about pretty much any creative thing you can imagine. Books, music, paintings, even architectural plans and computer code. It's all in there to protect a huge range of creative genius.
Now, here is a distinction that trips up so many people. So this is really important. The law protects the expression of an idea, not the idea itself. Let me break that down. You can't copyright the idea of a love story, but you absolutely can copyright your specific novel about one. You can't copyright the fact that an event happened, but you can copyright the unique article you wrote about it. Section 4 makes it clear that basic ideas, facts, and concepts are free for everyone to use and build on. All right, get ready for this one because it's a huge myth buster. According to Section 5 of the Act, you do not, I repeat, do not need to register your work for it to be protected. Let that sink in for a second. Your creation is protected by copyright from the very moment you create it. You can register it to get a stronger piece of legal evidence, for sure, but you don't have to. You're protected automatically.
Okay, so your work is protected from the get-go. Awesome. But what does that protection actually give you? Well, the Act splits your rights into two main categories, and here's an easy way to remember them. One protects your wallet, and the other one protects your reputation.
So, on one side, you've got economic rights. This is all about how you control and make money from your work. And on the other side, you've got moral rights, which are all about protecting your personal link to your creation and making sure it's treated with respect.
Let's dig into those economic rights. Section 7 basically hands you the keys to the kingdom for your creation. It means you, and only you, get the final say on who can make copies, translate it, sell it, perform it, or broadcast it. This is the legal bedrock that lets you actually build a career from your creativity. Now, let's talk about moral rights. If economic rights are about the profit, you could say moral rights are about the principle. The whole idea is summed up right here. It is your fundamental right to be named and respected as the person who created the work. And the law gets really specific. Section 8 gives you the right to be identified as the author, or to use a pen name if you want. It also gives you the power to stop anyone from twisting or damaging your work in a way that hurts your reputation, and the right to make your own changes. And here's the kicker. These rights stick with you, even if you sell the economic rights to somebody else.
Now, these rights are super powerful, but they don't last forever. The law puts a time limit on them. So let's take a quick look at how the copyright clock actually ticks.
For most things, your book, your song, your painting, the rule laid out in Section 14 is pretty straightforward. Your copyright is valid for your entire lifetime, plus another 50 years after you pass away. This is so your family and your heirs can continue to benefit from your legacy. But, and this is a really important but, there's a major exception. For photographs and what's called works of applied art, the clock works differently. Section 14.5 says these are only protected for a flat 25 years from the day they were made. It's a key difference to remember. All right, so we've talked a lot about what creators can do. But let's flip the script. What about the rest of us? Are there any situations where you can use a copyrighted work without having to ask for permission? The answer is yes, but it's only in very specific cases. This is a question that comes up all the time, right? And it's where the law has to do this really delicate balancing act. On one hand, it needs to protect creators. On the other, it needs to allow society to learn from and build on existing culture and knowledge. That middle ground is what we often call fair use.
So sections 16 through 20 of the Act spell out these exceptions. We're talking about things like quoting a book in a review, using a clip for teaching a class, or showing a photo in a news report. But, and this is the big blinking neon sign test, you can't do any of these things if it ends up harming the original creator's ability to sell their work. It has to be fair.
Which, of course, brings us to the big one. What happens when someone just ignores all these rules and uses your work anyway? That brings us to our final and maybe most critical section, what the law calls infringement, and what happens next. Section 25 defines infringement pretty simply. It's anytime someone does something that violates your exclusive rights as a creator. Making copies, selling them, performing your work in public, all without getting your permission first. And believe me, the consequences are no joke. According to Section 27, just a first-time offense can land you a fine of up to 100,000 rupees. This is not a small slap on the wrist. The law has real financial teeth.
And it's not just about the money. That very same first offense can also lead to jail time, up to 6 months behind bars. So this isn't just a civil issue, it can become a criminal one, and fast.
And it doesn't stop there. If you're a repeat offender, the penalties can actually double. We're talking bigger fines and longer sentences. Not only that, but the authorities have the power to seize all the illegal copies and even the equipment that was used to make them.
So there you have it. That's a quick tour through the most important parts of Nepal's Copyright Act. It's a powerful tool designed to protect creativity, but it's also a system that depends on all of us understanding our rights and our responsibilities. So the real question we'll leave you with is this. Now that you know the rules of the road, how are you going to use them, both to protect what you create and to respect what others have made?